Hello everybody. Today's first review is going to be of Mission Impossible because I am starting I believe I did the series over on Instagram. I'm not sure if those videos actually went through or not. It's been so long since I've watched these movies, but yeah, I'm starting the series over again. I just figured it was fitting to just redo them for YouTube anyway, regardless of whether they went through or not over on Instagram. I might actually go back and do some reviews later on of ones I've just done over on Instagram on YouTube again too. Who knows? But I think, yeah, I just kind of wanted to move forward with most of them. But these ones kind of seemed like one of those movie series where I did the final one, the final movie, right? And it just didn't feel right to not go back and redo them for YouTube. So yeah, we'll start with Mission Impossible, which I gave a 7 out of 10 to. Now, this wasn't the first one I ever saw in the series, but Mission Impossible 2 was just, it still is my favorite in the series, even though I did end up giving, yeah, I believe I gave the last movie a 10 out of 10 as well. But, yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah, I did. I did give the last movie 10 out of 10. It was worth it. It was, like, worthy of that, the score, so. But this is the only other one that I'm aware of, anyway, that I've given a 10 out of 10 to. Oh, sorry. Mission Impossible 2, sorry, my bad. It's the only other one that I've given a 10 out of 10 to that I'm aware of. Anyway, not this one. This one, Mission Impossible, I gave a 7 out of 10 to the first movie. Now, I know this without this movie, there wouldn't have been the franchise, right, like the way it is today. Now, the franchise is over now, but yeah, this one I gave a 7 out of 10 to. It wasn't my favorite in the series, but again, I do have to respect the fact that without this movie, there wouldn't have ever been a franchise. Now, I can imagine at the point of this movie, it was probably expected to be like a one-off sort of thing, so maybe they didn't put nearly as much effort into it as obviously the sequels, right? But yeah, I can kind of see how maybe they thought this was going to be like a one-off movie, and then maybe have some like some spin-offs possibly, or something along the lines of it. But yeah, just the fact that this franchise has grown since that point is really cool. So we'll go over the cast list as always. So Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt, John Voight as Jim Phelps, Emmanuel Burt as Claire, Henry Cerny as Kittredge. Oh, right. Jean Reno as Krieger, Ving Rhames as Luther. So again, Luther and Ethan, or I guess I should say Ving Rhames and Tom Cruise, are the only two who have been in all of the movies together. So yeah, but the crew kind of gets a little more established, obviously, as the series goes on, right? Kristen Scott Thomas, who played Sarah Davies, Vanessa Redgraves, who played Max, Inda Borga Dabakunate, I want to say is how you pronounce that name. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Played Hannah. Rolf Saxon, who played CIA analyst William Donlow, and Emilio Estevez, who played Jack Harmon. Now, William Donlow is important because later on, obviously, like in the very last film, he becomes a pretty big staple character in the movie. So yeah, it's important for that we mention him in this movie. Same with Kittredge as well, right? So we start off in Kiev, where agents watch two men waiting for a name to be given. Dmitry Mediev, I think is how you pronounce it. And then we go to a plane where a Mr. Phelps gets a video about a man, Alexander Golitsyn, who has stolen one half of the CIA knock list, which tells the names of agents in Europe. He plans to steal the next, or the rest of the list, to unlock the code names. So I guess one half of the knock list gives the codes, and the other half of the knock list matches those codes with the actual name of the person. So yeah, if that gets out, like, it could pretty much destroy a lot of operations that the CIA runs, right? And including, obviously, the IMF, which Ethan and all of them work for, right? So kind of important that they don't get their hands on that knock list. So the mission is to take photographic evidence of the theft from the embassy, follow Golitsyn to his buyer, and then apprehend them both. So when they go to Prague to do the mission, Jim goes over the mission, warns the group that if their names are leaked, they will be auctioned to the highest bidder, and they could all be executed based on just that fact, right? Because if their names get out, it is possible that somebody will find them, and if they get their hands on them, then they could potentially be executed by anybody, I guess, is sort of where he's going with that, right? Like the worst possible scenario, I think, is what he was trying to say, so that they make sure that they get their hands on the knock list before Galitzin does, obviously, right? So the mission seems to be going according to plan until someone overrides Jack in the elevator, because he's kind of like the man behind like all of the computer stuff, before obviously Luther comes in to help after Jack's death, right? So unfortunately Jack is killed in the elevator, and then Jim, of course, says that he's on his way, sort of thing, and then eventually Jim says that someone is following him, telling the rest of them to abort the mission finally. So Ethan's entire team is killed, and the knock list is missing at this point. So Ethan then calls Kittredge, telling him the list is in the open and that his whole team is dead. So Ethan meets with Kittredge and asks him why there was another IMF team at the embassy that night. Kittredge brings up Max, an arms dealer who got to someone on the inside, and buy the knock list. And what the heck? Kittredge brings up Max, an arms dealer who got to someone on the inside to buy the knock list and pull. Oh, and buy the knock list and pull off job 314, the one that Galitzin thought he was doing that night, I guess. But apparently, the knock list that was given to Galitzin was fake, and Galitzin was actually one of the other IMF team. That's right. Now I remember. I just wrote that very weirdly for some reason. So Ethan then returns to the meet point after, of course, Kittredge basically blames him for being like the inside guy, the mole, in the IMF. So he escapes from Kittredge using like the little explosive stick of gum that Jack gave him earlier on. He throws it against like I think the fish tank or something inside the restaurant. And man, that explosion was pretty intense. And he has to like sprint out of the restaurant while a giant wave of water is coming towards him. So the first big stunt that Tom ever did, I think, in one of those movies. And I remember him saying it was hard to run with all the water like underneath his feet and stuff. So yeah, quite a feat, for sure. So yeah. Now Ethan returns to the meet point and then sends a message to Max asking to meet. Claire then returns to the meet point as well, hours later, and then Ethan tells Claire that Kittredge thinks he is the mole, of course. Ethan then goes to meet with Max and asks her for $150,000 and tells her the disc Job gave her is worthless, and it's part of a mole hunt. Like, it's going to send out a code to whoever's looking for them, right, and basically just be able to track them down, sort of thing. Now, she doesn't believe him, and she puts the disc in, and eventually they have to flee, right? But yeah, it was a good thing. It was a good thing Ethan was there pretending to be Job originally, I think, right? So Max offers Ethan $6 million, the same amount she had offered to Job, but Ethan counters with $10 million and her personal guarantee that Job will be there when he delivers her the entire knock list. That was what he had said. So now Ethan must break into the black vault that has 3 sensors, one for sound, one for temperature, and one on the floor for weight. So like any rise, I think it was any rise above like a degree in temp would set off that alarm. Obviously any extra weight on the floor would set off that alarm. And then any sound, I can't remember exactly like the decibel level, but like I think anything louder than like a whisper basically would set off the alarm for the sound, right? So they had to be pretty careful stealing the knock list, of course. Now, Ethan does have 2 discs. I never actually noticed that the first time watching this movie, but yeah, so he puts the knock list on one, and then obviously has just a blank for the other, right? Um, so they do. So Ethan and Krieger are able to steal the knock list successfully, but when Krieger goes to like grab the discs from Ethan, he ends up dropping his knife like right into the table right before William comes back into the room. And of course, then William notices that something is amiss, right, and picks up the knife and then checks the computer and goes, "Oh my God, we've been robbed," sort of thing, right? At this point, so of course everybody's going to be after, like basically putting the building on lockdown, right? Now, fortunately for them, they are able to make it out before the building is put into complete lockdown, and they are able to get away with the knock list. Now, when they get back to the, I believe it was, yeah, when they get back to the hotel, like the meet point or whatever, Ethan notices that the Holy Bible is addressed to the Drake Hotel in Chicago, and that's when he kind of starts putting things together, like something isn't quite right. So Kittredge then has Ethan's parents arrested to draw Ethan in. Of course, I don't really think that's gonna work. Well, obviously it doesn't because Ethan ends up calling Kittredge later on, and basically giving him like a message with only 3 seconds left before Ethan hangs up the phone. Before, of course, they can catch him, right? But now they know that he's at least somewhere in London. Like they know that much. They just don't know his exact location. And then all of a sudden, Jim shows up at the phone booth beside Ethan and tells him it was Kittredge that killed the team and that Kittredge is the mole. Now, at this point, I don't think Ethan really believes him, but it's hard not to after, of course, he just shows up randomly alive. Now, he does say to Ethan that Claire can't know that he's alive at this point in time, because if it did, it would just jeopardize the mission that they're on, right? And so Ethan agrees with him, blah, 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 blah. So then Ethan disguises himself as Jim, and I think, yeah, Ethan disguises himself as Jim when they get onto the train to deliver the knock list to Max. And of course, they're trying to block her from actually being able to download the full list because Kittredge ends up catching Max at the end of the movie. And I think that was kind of the whole point, right? Was to like shut down the entire operation because at this point, he knew Jim was part of it. And when Claire goes into the car, she says Ethan is right behind her. And of course, it's not Ethan. It's not even Jim in the car. It's actually Ethan when he takes off the mask and reveals himself that he was disguised as Jim the entire time. Now, he tells Jim that he knew about him being the mole. The moment he found the Bible from the Drake Hotel, of course, Jim goes, "Oh my God, I can't believe they stamped it," right? Like, crazy that they would stamp it. Now, Ethan takes the glasses out of his pocket that allow him to see, like, allow him to give, like, video feedback to anybody. So he's giving video feedback to Kittredge at this point and shows Kittredge that Jim is alive. So now other people know that Jim is alive. And within the chaos, Jim ends up shooting Claire in order to escape. Now, that gives him a little bit of time to at least attack Ethan and make it to the top of the train, where this big, huge, like, chase scene between Krieger, Jim, and Ethan start. Now, Krieger's obviously there to help Jim get off of the train, right? Now, I think at this point, Jim's position is pretty much jeopardized, but he does have the money from Ethan that Ethan was getting from Max. So I guess, technically, the person who was pretending to be Job, which would have been Jim, now has the money that he needs anyway. So if he escapes with the money, it's pretty much over, right? Like, there's no shutting down Jim's part of the mission, right? Or shutting down Jim as the mole, I guess, technically. So the helicopter chase ensues, and then Ethan's able to actually clip the helicopter onto the train, and of course the helicopter has to like dive into the tunnel with them, and then that whole thing that whole chase scene happens, and of course Krieger gets a little greedy, trying to kill Ethan with the helicopter blades, and it hits the top or whatever, and then the helicopter kind of goes a little out of whack, and then Ethan gets enough time to jump onto the helicopter and use another piece of the gum that Jack had given him at the ending. And that was kind of poetic, right? Like sticking the gum to the helicopter and then blowing it up and killing both Krieger and Jim in the process. And then, of course, them having to cover it up as some sort of like freak accident at the end of the movie. Now, the thing that I thought was interesting about this was I know that the helicopter chase like through the tunnel was CGI, but apparently the blade part that spins towards Tom Cruise, like where it's pointing directly at him, that was real. So I'm not exactly sure like where the visual, like where the CGI effects ends and where the practical effects begin, maybe. Like maybe when they had the helicopter rolling towards a train, they could have potentially had some practical effects in there. Yeah, it's interesting to find. It'd be interesting to find out like where the cutoff is exactly for that. But I know that he does a lot. Like he does all his own stunts, so I have to give kudos to him, regardless of whether part of it is computer graphics or not. Like there's obviously some sort of stunt going on behind the scenes, right? Like so, you're still putting your body at risk, regardless of whether it's real or regardless of whether it's all real or not, right? You're putting your life on the line. So, and I know just obviously as the movie series has gone on, he's just gotten more and more intense with the stunts, right? But now that he's in his 60s, I think he's pretty much done. Now, I know Top Gun 3 is coming, so I imagine he'll probably be doing some crazy flying in that one, but I think maybe that's slightly more grounded compared to what some of the stuff he's done in these Mission Impossible movies. But anyway, so yeah, I guess he is kind of able to save the day and stop, obviously, any of the agents' names being being leaked, right? Because obviously he doesn't want to actually sell the knock list to Max. He just is trying to get all of them on the train so they can all get caught for the shady stuff they're doing behind the scenes, obviously, right? So the mission was successful, even though we call these movies Mission Impossible. I think it's more the fact that not a lot of people would take this sort of mission on, and it's definitely not an easy thing to like. It is impossible in a sense that not everybody could do this mission sort of thing, right? Like I think that's more kind of where we're going with this. So yeah, but that's it for this review. 7 out of 10 for this movie, and I have to give them credit for, starting the franchise with this. It was kind of like you could definitely tell it's a 90s action movie just based on, like, the formula for it, right? Like, every action movie kind of had the same formula. But, I mean, it is what it is for a 90s action movie. This one was probably more one of the standout ones for sure, I would say. Because I don't think anything quite like it on a scale like this had probably been done in the 90s. But yeah, other than that, I think that's it for this review, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye for now.